Is all of this necessary? Did you have an editor? Hello, my name is Franco. In today's video, I would like to talk to you about all the classics that I want to read in 2021. Shit! It's 21. I do have to force myself to read classics. I know I will enjoy them, but unless I have them on a physical list in which I have to tick them off so I can feel accomplished, there is no way I'm gonna read them. So for 2020, I did have a list and I did read every single one of them, and that's gonna be a different video. So for today, I would like to talk to you about the classics that I want to read for 2021. For the past 2 years that I've been trying to read classics, I have been looking for the smallest, shortest possible books to read because I am a lazy reader, and with classics, I don't want to just listen to it as an audiobook, I want to physically read it as well. So I know it's gonna be a full-time investment, me fully focused on this book, and I am a very lazy person that never really likes to get focused on anything. This year I have to face the monsters inside of me and actually attempt to read big books. I will never ever in my life be one of those people that enjoy long books, even if it's with my favorite characters. They should be able to have the exact same message but with less words. I'm like, is all of this necessary? Did you have an editor? If something is over 8 hours as an audiobook, I'm like being skeptical about it. So let's start with some simple classics. First of all, I would like to reread Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I read the translated version of this when I was a kid, like about 13, and I've also read unbridged versions of the Peter Pan story from the moment I was born up until now. I always read Peter Pan stories. Peter Pan is my favorite hero on the planet, so I think it would be good for me to finally read his story the way that it was written instead of through the translated works. And what a beautiful cover is this. But for some reason I'm really dreading it. You know when you have something that's your favorite, you don't want to ruin that. I don't want to ruin the illusion that this is the best work of fiction that has ever existed. Then in my list I had a couple of books that I erased. So this year I wanted to read Beloved, The Bluest Eye, Color Purple as well, though those 3 books all were in my list for classics or modern classics for this year. But when I searched for the trigger warnings, I just erased them without any guilt in my mind. This is not the appropriate time for me to handle this type of topics. I am extremely sensitive. It's traumatic to me. But I am replacing those 3 books with another book that I've been avoiding for many years, The Diary of Anne Frank. Anne Frank is a historical figure, and I've known of her since I was like 10 years old, and I've been avoiding her book ever since, because like I mentioned, I'm sensitive, but there's not much torture in this book, so I think I will be able to handle the emotional side of the story. It's one of those books that everybody knows of, and it has some very bad rep. We need to stop to be racist against dead, murdered people. Is it too much to ask? It's basically the bare minimum of human decency. Then I would like to read The Giver by Louise Lowry. The Giver is one of those books that were like the first to normalize dystopian teen fiction. I find it very interesting to read books that popularize tropes and genres, so I've been meaning to read this since I've heard it's a classic, but it doesn't exist as an audiobook and I've been postponing it for so many years. And I know there's a movie I've watched multiple times. It's not a good movie. That's why I need to read the book, because I feel like the book is gonna be just so much better. Then we have 2 authors that I've known their names for so many years, like they are so recognizable, and that's Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf. Both of them in my brain are the same person. They're not. And they're very different. And I wanted to pick a book from each writer to read this year. And for Virginia Woolf, I picked To the Lighthouse because I like the title. That's as much as I needed. I'm not sure what it's about. Probably a lighthouse. I find it interesting. I just find it interesting. And for Sylvia Plath, I would like to read The Bell Jar. And again, I had never heard of this book before, and I have read some of her poems. We did study them in school. Depressing, and I know I will feel so much better about myself knowing that I have read books from 2 extremely recognizable authors. Then I would like to read A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, written by a Holocaust survivor, and it's super short, and it's one of those titles that everybody has heard, and I should read it because recently, especially through the quarantine, I'm searching for the meaning of life. This book might help me, or might prolong my existential crisis. It's either one of the two. Might help me, might ruin me. Let's go. Then we have another 2 books that I have been ignoring. I don't wanna have anything to do with either of those because they are so long. I really want to see if there's a reason for it to be this long, because I cannot think of a way that so many words are important in a story. Why this couldn't be edited down? Why? Give me a reason. I'll probably give you the reason myself once I actually read them and be like, oh yeah, every minute was worth it. It feels very challenging. And one of these books is Don Quixote by Cervantes. So this is considered the #1 work of fiction by the Nobel Prize Institute. That's why I'm reading it. No other reason. And I watched another video that somebody read it for a challenge and they said it's one of their favorite books of all time. Can we just acknowledge that this book is big and I am super brave for deciding to read it? Like, thank you for applauding me. I need all the encouragement I can get. Similarly to that, I also need to read Anachrona by Leo Tolstoy. This is a Russian classic. I've watched the movie directed by Joe Wright. I love that director. I think he's one of my favorite directors, if not my favorite. He has also done Pride and Prejudice and Atonement, two of my all-time favorite films. It has love, it has betrayal. Yeah, that's as much as I know. I remember the ending, but I don't think it matters that much. I don't care if I know the plot, if I understand the plot twist, if I figure it out early on. I don't care. For me, books is about the journey that this writer is taking us. Even though I might be completely spoiled about everything, I don't care. Like, I'm here for the journey, I'm not here for the plot. I never care about the plot. Never in my life have I cared about the plot. I do have a soft spot for Russian literature because we did study short stories of Russian classics in school and they always hit the right spot in my little emo soul. So I know I'm gonna enjoy this. I just know that I am lazy and I need to stop it. Oh, and then lastly, I would like to read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I did not know this book existed. People compare it to Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which is one of my favorite books ever. I don't know anything about it. My brother, when I mentioned that I'm gonna read it, he said they studied it in school, which is always a bad sign because like usually schools force you to read books for the wrong reasons, and I don't know if this is gonna be worth my time. Especially if somebody compares it to Frankenstein, I cannot see how this book could amount to anything close to that. But it's so short and that's why I picked it. Like I was like, short classics, and it came up and I'm like, you know what? This could never waste my time. It's a classic and it's short and I'm gonna read it. These are all the classics that I intend to read in 2021. If you haven't read any of these classics and you're looking for somebody to buddy read them with, I volunteer. But also just bear in mind, I am so slow. I'm such a slow reader and I also have a very busy schedule, so I'm not gonna promise that this is gonna be the best buddy reading experience of your life. But in case you need motivation to read some of these, I could be here for you. If you enjoyed this video, I make more videos like this and I intend to make more in the future. So consider subscribing, you know, since you're here. I notice every single one subscriber that I gain and every single one that I lose, because I also lose subscribers. Everybody does. I didn't know about it. Yeah, social media, description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye. Ah, that was cringeous.